What's up, YouTube? Um, Bittersweet stories don't always get you a pass. What annoys me is how you have black women who want special consideration over a bittersweet story, but when it's flipped around, it's still a no-go. We can sit up here and find black men who are in prison or who have went to prison and now are out of prison, and they can't necessarily provide at that level. You know, we're lucky enough if these guys can get a job to the point where they don't feel like they have to go back to any sort of illegal activity, right? You know, it's not like the white guy who can go to jail and get out and get some blue-collar job because his uncle owns some sort of, I don't know, um, plumbing company, or his uncle is some sort of welder, or his uh, wife's cousin, has some sort of farm or something where he can go work, right? So he can go work for the family and they can give him a job. We don't even have that, right? It's hard enough for black men if you have all your ducks in a row to get some sort of gainful employment. So you're pretty much shit out of luck if you have an extensive criminal background, right? But there's a lot of men, let's keep it real, right? There's a lot of men in prison who made poor choices and they were old enough to know what they were doing, okay? You were a young man and you made a poor choice and you have to live with it. But then there's a lot of black men where let's keep it real, where they didn't necessarily have all that. They were born into environments that we can't even think about, right? Where it was pretty much accepted that illegal activity was the only way, right? And you had people who were convinced or lied to and manipulated into engaging in bad activity, and they got caught and they go to jail. Okay, I've heard stories where there's been black men who are selling drugs, and mom knew whose son was selling drugs, and it was expected that he would sell drugs and bring home money to the family, right? How shitty is that? There's all sorts of crazy sob stories, right? Mom has son help the drug dealing boyfriend get his business off of the ground. You hear all sorts of crazy foul shit, right? And it's like, damn, it's unfortunate how you went out, right? It's not fair how you got pretty much taken advantage of by life because your parents weren't there to protect you, right? It's really unfortunate for you. But once again, are black women going to choose those men? As much as they can understand what happened to them, cry with them, hug them, feel sorry for them, are they going to choose those men? No. It's a bittersweet story. Because at the end of the day, guess what? He can't provide at the level that they're looking for. Even if they made some sort of special consideration, it's too much. The whole bend, don't break. I can bend, but eventually my rubber band or my stick is going to break, right? Obviously, people are entitled to their own dreams growing up, especially if they're working towards it. So if you're a woman and you actually work towards the lifestyle that you wanted, obviously if you're, considering having a family and being in any sort of meaningful relationship, you have to understand that the whole give and take, right? Especially when you're dealing with other people. But even then, how far are you going to go? How far are you going to stray away from the dream that you have had in terms of how you want your life to be, right? I want a 7-bedroom house. All right, well, I can do 5, I can do 4, as opposed to, okay, I can live in an apartment in a high crime area. That it doesn't work that way. So for a lot of women, like I said, they can feel sorry for black men till kingdom come, but if they can't provide, they can't provide. Even if they want to make some sort of exceptions and do as much bending as possible. And I can't fault those black women. I have sisters of my own, right? And I'll be the first one to say, hey, obviously, you have to make some exceptions for people, but if it's too significant, if you have to veer dramatically off from where you want your life to go, I'm sorry. He's a great guy. I understand what happened to him, but you are entitled to the life that you want. It is a bittersweet story. Does this mean that as black women, you're not considerate, you're not loving, you're cold, and you're cruel, and you're heartless? No. Not at all. Right? It is what it is. Now, on the flip side, however, there's this idea that if you're a black woman and you have the bittersweet story, you're still eligible, which is complete bullshit. Right? And the fucked up part, right, the part that kills me is once again going back to the whole idea of black women coming on and saying that we need to expand our options and do X, Y, and Z. And they'll forget the fact that it's only the pristine black women with no blemishes on the record that are leaving, right? But as far as the vast majority, they know that they can't fit into the ideal world of white men, right? We know white men, they're entitled to their dreams. So if I can't be that perfect little pawn in his world, right, well, I can at least bitch and complain to black men, because we know that black men, regardless of if they're doing well or not, they're not entitled to have their dreams. We're not entitled to have the lifestyles that we want. We're not entitled to work hard and actually go after what we have set in our head. We have to accept the bittersweet story, or we're seen as cruel, heartless, tyrants, villains, antagonists, however you want to call it, which is fucked up. I understand your story as a black woman, okay? I understand if a father's not there, if a mother's not getting the job done, it's going to affect you, right? But am I not entitled to my own life? Am I not entitled to my dreams? I get the whole bend but not break. But hey, sorry, with you, I'm breaking. I'm not bending. It is what it is. So this whole idea of somehow black men being cruel because we're not accepting the bittersweet is bullshit, because you yourself as black women across the board are not accepting bittersweet stories. Okay, constantly I can go to the barbershop and there's some cat in there who's spitting knowledge. He's spitting real shit. But guess what? He had some trouble growing up as a kid or growing up as a young adult, and he can't be that provider. I'm talking about solid business, solid life, solid spiritual information that anybody can use across the board. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to translate that into him being able to provide, him able to have that sort of family where he can pass on all this damn good information. Are those men being chosen? No, they're not, because they just can't give what the women are looking for. It's just a bittersweet, missed opportunity sort of tear-jerking story. Black women aren't faulted for that. I'll never fault a black woman for doing that. As opposed to maybe the guy who fell out of luck and, you don't have the 7-bedroom house, but you have the 4-bedroom house. That's the big difference. That's the whole, you need to bend, but you don't want to bend. We're not talking about that, right? And when we talk about black women, it's always drastic. It's always something significant, and it's like, are you for reals? Right? Right? Only to then come on and talk about how the groups of men are more this and more that. Well, how come you guys aren't running to them? How come black women aren't taking the bittersweet stories and going off to other men? Why? Because it's understood that people are entitled to have their dreams. It's understood that, hey, as a man, I'm going to go after what I want. And if you can't fit in, you can't fit in. But it's a sad day, real talk, it's a sad day when black men are knocked for not breaking and giving up their dreams for somebody else's sob story. But on the flip side, black men are accusing black women of being a traitor or being some sort of villain when they're not accepting our sob stories, when we can't do the whole bittersweet thing and they're still not choosing us. It's a real sad day, right? And the part that annoys the fuck out of me is black women not understanding things from different perspectives. They'll come on and talk about how black men are a certain way. But if you had a son and you raised your son to be a certain way and he had all the opportunities in the world and you struggled and you worked 3 jobs so that your son, whether you had a husband or not, can have a certain lifestyle, and he got there, and your son comes home with a chick that is breaking his own dream and the dream that you had for him, how are you going to feel? Right? Going back to that whole fake-ass sisterhood shit. Let me bring home a chick who has the bittersweet, tear-jerking sob story, and my parents are going to say, are you fucking serious? All the shit that we did, all the sacrifices that we made for you so that you can go after your dreams, we understand then, son. We understand that nothing is perfect. But to see you break, it's not going to work, son. We can't, co-sign this marriage. We're upset. We don't know if we want to participate. And I can't even blame my parents. So that's my vid. I'm going to stop it there. I just really get annoyed, right? Because this whole shit feeds back to this whole idea that as black men we have it easier and black women are these victims and black men don't care and we're cruel and we're heartless, only because we don't come on and fill the heads of black women with sob stories after bittersweet stories of black men who can't necessarily provide because some shit that happened to them growing up. Right? Dad wasn't there, mom wasn't there, or mom is, dealing with the bullshit boyfriend that beats up on the son. All true stories. We don't come on and cry about what's going on because you know what y'all gonna say? Toughen up. You're a man. You have to cut it. You have to get it done. Only for the women to come on and then expect that in return. Right? Then to champion other groups of men as if they're taking the beaten and the downtrodden and giving them this sort of lifestyle. But they're really not. Right? I mean, I don't really get it. I really don't. If people actually took the fucking time to sit back and think what's going on, right, you would be amazed why some people don't care. I'm literally at the point where I don't get mad at people at all, black people who come on and say, fuck the black community, fuck this, fuck that. I don't really care because shit is crazy. Shit is so one-sided that it's really not even funny anymore. Right? And I don't know how this is going to make certain people feel, but I mean, once again, if you take the time to think through the lenses of black men who are actually trying to get it done, you'll see that shit is really getting out of hand. Grotesquely out of hand. Right? To the point where you find yourself having to constantly go back to the drawing board and figure out where you are. Like I said, this is a work in progress. I'm not perfect. My views aren't necessarily always set in stone, right? And I'm constantly reevaluating my love and commitment to all this bullshit, right? So anyways, y'all take it easy. It's just highly annoying. Let me know what you think. God bless.